sing, singing a song of angry men. It is the music of a people who will not be slaves again. When the beating of your heart echoes the beating of the drums, there is a life about to start when tomorrow comes. Will you join in our crusade? Who will be strong and stand with me? Beyond the barricade, is there a world you long to see? Then join in the fight that will give you the right to be free. Will you give all you can give so that our banner may advance? Some will fall and some will live. Will you stand up and take your chance? What is the true cost of a war? It exacts its toll in a number of ways. In lives lost, homes destroyed, and families torn apart. But war can also cause us to lose our compassion and even our humanity. In the following prose by Carolee Erickson, and poetry and lyrics by Herbert Ketzmer, Pierre Gaveau, J. M. Soriger, and Alan Bouville, we can see how what starts out as a dream of freedom can quickly turn into a nightmare. October 6th, 1789. At daybreak this morning, I was awakened by a low rumbling sound, which became louder and louder, and then changed into a fearsome mixture of tramping feet and screaming and shouting. Your Highness, get up, run, leave as quickly as you can. My lady-in-waiting, still wearing the gown she had on last night, had run into my room. I could tell she hadn't slept, but had been keeping watch. I heard musket fire, and many women's voices shouting, "Where is the whore? We want the Austrian whore!" As long as I live, I will never forget what I saw next. How can I write it? My hand trembles now as I struggle to hold the pen. A huge man, dressed from head to foot in black, thrust himself into the room, holding an immense axe whose blade was smeared red with blood. He swung the axe and cut off the head of one of the soldiers. A cheer went up. My lady-in-waiting tugged at me. "Madame, you must come. Remember your husband, your children." She pulled me along, stumbling out the far door of the room, along the passage that connected my bedroom with Louis'. For the next several hours, we waited in terror, barricaded against the invading mob, hoping that the soldiers who had not been sent away last night would be able to restore order. We heard musket fire from time to time, and through the windows we could see, in the muddy courtyard below, hundreds of people thronging and exulting together, some with blood smeared on their faces and hands, others dragging severed arms and legs, gruesome trophies of their savagery. I watched in horror as one of the dead soldiers was carried out into the courtyard, his corpse hacked to pieces before my eyes. Do you hear the people sing, lost in the valley of the night? It is the music of a people who are climbing to the light. For the wretched of the earth, there is a flame that never dies. Even the darkest night will end, and the sun will rise. They will live again in freedom in the garden of the Lord. They will walk behind the plowshare. They will put away the sword. The chain will be broken, and all men will have their reward. Will you join in our crusade? Who will be strong and stand with me? Somewhere beyond the barricade, is there a world you long to see? Do you hear the people sing? Say, do you hear the distant drums? It is the future that they bring when tomorrow comes. January 21st, 1793. I heard the drums beat early this morning. Knew that Louis was being led to the scaffold. I hoped the children were still sleeping, and was spared the realization that their beloved father was about to die. I knelt beside the bed and said a prayer for his soul. He died bravely and well, the lieutenant told me. He had no bitterness. He would not let them bind his hands or restrain him in any way. He was willing to die. French people, people of brothers, can you watch without shuddering in horror as crime unfurls its banners of carnage and terror? You suffer. An atrocious horde of assassins and brigands, soiling with its savage breath the lands of the living. July 5th, 1793. They came for him quite early in the morning. 4 big burly horsemen from the Committee of Vigilance bursting into the room where we all slept, Louis Charles, Mousseline, and I, and demanding that I hand over my son. Of course, I refused, and climbed out of bed and threw myself between Louis Charles and his kidnappers, fending them off and shouting at them when they lunged at me and tried to snatch him away. I had no shame or pride. All I cared about was preventing these criminals from taking Louis Charles away. I scratched him with my brittle, breaking nails. I bit one of them in the arm until he bled. In the end, I pleaded with them in tears not to take my son from me. It was all in vain, of course. They grew exasperated with me and finally told me bluntly that unless I handed Louis Charles over to them obediently and at once, they would kill both the children. I had to let him go. I have been crying ever since. I fear I will never see him again. Did you see them going off to fight? Children of the barricade who didn't last the night. Did you see them lying where they died? Someone used to cradle them and kiss them when they cried. Did you see them lying side by side? Who will wake them? No one ever will. No one ever told them that a summer day can kill. They were schoolboys, never held a gun, fighting for a new world that would rise up like the sun. Where's that new world now the fighting's done? Nothing changes. Nothing ever will. August 3rd, 1793. They gave me half an hour to say goodbye to my beloved daughter and pack my things. When I asked whether I would be returning to the temple, the official in charge just shook his head. I know what he meant. I know what my fate is to be. Note by Rosalie Lamourière, made to the widow Capet in the prison, written and added to this journal. My mistress, the widow Capet, formerly Queen Marie Antoinette, was taken from her cell this morning by members of the Revolutionary Tribunal who had condemned her. I followed her out into the courtyard. She limped because her leg was hurting her, but she didn't complain. I saw her mouth moving as she walked along. I knew that she was saying her prayers and singing a little song from her childhood. Soldier of the regiment, be strong, be brave. I walked along behind the soldiers in a place where I could see my mistress. She climbed the steps to the scaffold quickly and lay down under the blade. Some people say that she stepped on the executioner's foot and asked his pardon. But I did not hear that. There was a loud rattling noise, and the blade fell. I saw the executioner hold up her head and walk around as if showing the crowd. They cheered, and some danced and sang. A few were silent or sad. There was a line of men who raised golden daggers in a sort of salute as her head was thrown down. I will never forget her. Just before I began to write in this journal, I found a note in her prayer book. This is what she wrote. The 16th of October at 4:30 in the morning. May God have pity on me. My eyes have no more tears to cry for my poor children. Farewell. Farewell. Thank you.